Well, we're almost all here.
Okay, okay.
We're demonstrating how a working relationship really works well. The guy's there waiting at the door, but he's not upset. He's happy, he's relaxed. It's okay, because he knows she'll be here any second.
I'm so excited to hear about your love story.
I know she's here.
It's
She was
okay.
just here a second ago.
Hi, Rahla.
Here's the
Let's start from the beginning. How did you two meet?
well.
You have to show your COVID ponytail.
yeah.
I like this is a button down like guy who this is COVID. This is COVID right here.
Whoa.
Okay, I just have to share that. So would you like to do the
I'll
honors?
start.
Okay,
I'll
you start.
start, and then you
Okay. Are you gonna go
and
back
you
to where we
fix
actually
whatever I say.
are you gonna go back to where we actually
yes.
Okay, good.
We actually originally met in the Groundlings. We were both in the Groundlings. Do you know what the Groundlings are?
No.
The Groundlings is Los Angeles's premier improvisational theater company.
Oh my gosh.
It started in the 70s. And actually the Groundlings has introduced more players to SNL than any other improvisational theater company.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were the originals.
When it was just starting and not anything.
Anything.
at the
It was
time.
except a really amazing improvisational theater company with a lot of talent. So we met in class.
Pee Wee
right?
Herman was in my original group, which was kind of fun.
Stop it.
Now, would these
Yes.
names mean anything to you? Because you're
Pee Wee
younger than
Herman.
Pee Wee Herman, Phil Hartman, may he rest in peace.
Bill Hartman,
You know, so
Lorraine
many.
Newman.
She got me to audition. We went to camp.
And we were in a musical comedy class.
Improv.
Right. And all I remember is there was this girl who smiled, and I remembered her running up on stage, and I thought, oh God, she seemed so fun and full of life, but she was also dating the guy who started the Groundlings. So there was
My teacher, Mar
Oh
Direct.
my gosh, this is scandalous.
It was.
So there was nothing to be done about that because I didn't want to ruin my my career at the start of my career. About 8 years later, we both wound up at an AIDS benefit. Rahla had a friend who invited her to this AIDS benefit.
I mean, you can say the name.
The name was Helen Hunt.
Is it a
if
big
you've
deal?
ever heard of her.
I don't know. She's an
I think
actor.
I might have heard her, watched her a couple times. Yeah. I mean, come on. Yes, it's Helen Hunt. Yeah.
Okay.
So Helen invited Rahla, and I was living in an apartment, and there was a guy who was a photographer, and he said, I'm going down to this event. Oh, and it was actually, we were both going to the event. He drove, but a writing teacher of mine had invited me. Yes, I know. So let's make this fast. We both got at the event. And I saw Rahla, and I knew her, but I didn't know from where.
Now, by the way, so simultaneously,
It's been 8 years.
Yeah. Well, so Helen got called to New York to do a movie of the week. So she calls me, she says, you're going to go to this thing alone. I go, no, I'm not. She goes, you're going alone. You're sitting at the head table with the gay mafia. You get a free meal. Hello, it's paid for. You're going. So it's like, okay, I'm going. I went. So I went by myself down to, it was at the Biltmore Hotel, which is sort of a rough neighborhood. And I remember pulling into the hotel and I went, oh my God, I forgot money because everything was, I completely didn't bring money. And I thought, what am I going to do? I can't park. My mother will kill me if I park on the street. Danger. I got to do valet. Okay, somebody's going to have some dough and I'll borrow $10. Sure enough, I pull up and my friend Vince was a cameraman for ABC News and he was shooting it. And I said, give me $10, I'll pay you back. And he gave me the $10. And I walked in and I immediately saw this good looking guy that looked so familiar across the room. And I thought, God, where do I know that guy? And then I thought to myself, oh, that's the guy from class. That's the guy that I thought was so cute, but I was otherwise involved.
So I thought Rahla was a casting director who I had met in the last couple of years who had liked me. And I thought, oh, I'll go over, I'll say hello, we'll talk. She'll say she's casting some sitcom. I'll be right for a part. I'll get that little part. It'll turn into my own series. I'll get a film. I'll get my whole life is made if I just walk across the floor and say hello. Halfway across, I realized that's not the casting director. I don't know who that is. I know her, but I don't know who. I don't want to look like an idiot. So I'll just kind of veer off and go someplace else. At which point Rahla looked at me and went, so now
you have to keep
I had
walking.
to come over, and it was the Baton Death March. It was what is her name? I'm gonna look like an idiot. All I could think of was one letter, R.
Okay.
The letter R. Who is that? So as an improviser, I figured I'll open my mouth and something will come out. It'll be perfect. So I got there and I said, "Hi, you're Rahla." "Yes, Rahla, yes, of course." And she said, "You're Richard." I said, "Yes, I am." And the next question was, "So, are you still seeing Gary?" And she said, "Nope." So I figured, okay, now we can continue talking.
Wow.
I wasn't compelled to change tables and no, none of that. We just talked and then we went our separate ways and he did ask me for my phone number and he said
So
he was going to call. And
Meeting,
he did.
meeting that person may not have changed my career, but it certainly changed my life. And we love the way we love the meeting stories. How is it that two people have an intersection?
Millions of people in LA, that moment in time, and going alone.
Either one of us could have not gone there, and that would have been a whole other story.
So there was clearly something else, obviously, at play.
Well, and then meeting 8 years prior to that.
Yeah, we were in
never
class.
taking action, nothing, you know.
No. Just to keep, I remember thinking about him because I have a type. I do.
Oh.
Tall, skinny, Richard used to be salt and pepper. I mean, there's just a thing. I can't explain it. But anyway, I remembered him and I thought, I wonder what happened to that skinny guy with the mop top of curls and he used to wear a turtleneck. And that was it.
Every once in a while, I would think about that smile. It was that girl who smiled. She had such a happy smile.
So
here we are.
He called, he said he was going to call. He called on Wednesday. We went out the following weekend. And how long? Let's see. Oh, there's so many good stories, but
I want to hear. Share. So what happened next?
We went to the LA street scene and I threw up.
Right. She told me she liked those scary rides. I never liked scary rides that went up and down and did all that stuff. She said, "Oh, I love them." We went on. I had a great time. She got sick and threw up. That was a good first date. Plus,
I excused myself, but I was like, my skin was absolutely green.
She was green. She was green. And that day, somebody broke into the trunk of my car and stole a bag that had a whole bunch of residual checks that I had just gotten and hadn't cashed.
And I said, "Don't worry, you're going to get it back." Now, you have to understand, this is like a stolen man bag.
A man bag.
A fanny that they used to call them. I mean, don't be embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
Okay. But you did leave it in the car, and we were so happy that we parked. We didn't have to pay $25 for parking. Another place where you had to park.
Right.
You know, I was crazy. Yeah, LA. And then when we got back,
Rahla said, "Don't worry,
you're going to get
the
it
guy's
back."
going to call." I said, "My credit card, my driver's license, I have to cancel." I cancel everything, and the phone rings. And it's a guy who says, "Hi, is this Richard Rossner? I found your bag. It had a whole bunch of stuff in it. Could you come down and meet me?" "Sure, where?" He tells us to meet him downtown at this truck stop.
10th and Alameda.
And he's living in his car with his wife and newborn baby. And I'm thinking, we're going to get mugged.
You're done. You're done.
Rahla is saying, "Oh no, I feel my intuition tells me it's okay.
It's going to be okay."
So we go down, we drive down, it's midnight.
Well, rather, you are brave.
This is our first date, by the way.
Oh my gosh,
this is
insane. This is insane.
We drive downtown. Sure enough, the guy is there. He gives me back the bag. He's living in his car.
I mean, the baby is new and they're adorable. I mean, they're hippies, but they're not scary. They're just what they are. And I said, I gave Richard the look. Now we didn't have the look. We had only gone on like a half of the date. So he didn't know what the look meant. And the look meant give the guy some money look now. You know, and I was a little mortified that he didn't do it without the look.
No, he wouldn't accept.
I know.
I said, "Come on." He said, no. I walked back to the car. I said, "You get back there right now and you don't let him say no." Okay.
Give him the 20.
Okay, I was listening already.
No, but it was just one of those moments. And it was so easy. Like we immediately got comfortable. It was almost like we'd already been together for a long time. Unfortunately, I had a previous commitment with a boyfriend that was going to be taking me to New York. And I called that boyfriend and I mentioned to him that
we're dating a few weeks and it's really getting good. And Rahla says, "Richard, would you mind if I go to New York? I had this story set up with the guy that I was dating before I met you. I said, well, where? Yeah, I'll be staying at his apartment. Oh, really? Okay.
So, and I did call the guy and I said, I think I might have met somebody. He says, come anyway. You know, we made this plan. So he had an idea that, you know, it would be, he'd sweep me off my feet. And Richard took me to the airport. And I remember we had a conversation, and it's one I'll never forget. He said, you know, I love that you're doing this. I support you, that you need to, whatever this is, you need to complete, or if it's real, handle it. He said, but there's always a consequence. Our actions always have a consequence.
This
Good
wasn't
consequences, sometimes bad consequences, but I'm not saying that you're going to have a consequence, but your
this wasn't
intention.
a threat.
No.
I just knew I was in my own mind. She was going to New York. Who knows? Maybe they get back together. I'm going to be here while she's in New York for a couple of weeks. Who knows? Maybe I'll meet somebody and it'll be rather exciting. And we don't know. We just don't know. But go ahead, have fun.
Well, I mean, it was in a very short order. It was clear that no, I was done. And I broke someone's heart, unfortunately, but it's the way it worked out. But I stayed the whole 2 weeks, and I ended up going to yeah, I know, because I needed to do this. I did. Came all the way to New York, and I'd never been to New York. And this face is a New York face. It belongs on the East Coast, not at the beach in California, which is where I grew up.
If you told me I was going to marry a Southern California girl, I would have had a whole different look. This looks like New Jersey to me, but that's what we have a wonderful picture of Rahla at the top of the World Trade Center.
Oh God, yeah, it was a great trip. It was actually other than the fact that it was with Michael, it was a great trip. But I remember there was a moment we were on the telephone, and we trusted each other. And I said, "Look, there's nothing going on," and he believed me, of course, because it was true. But who said I love you first? We've never. So I know that on that trip, on the phone, there was an "I love you," and I think it was near the home stretch.
And
then I came home.
Right.
And then we got.
I was going to say that's the next big.
Okay, good. No, it's a good story.
The next big moment. I have a group of friends, and they could see that this was getting serious. So they said, for your birthday, my birthday's in November. They said, we are kidnapping you and sending you on a trip.
By people you knew.
Yeah. So they came by and they picked us up, and they said, they gave us 3 envelopes, and they put paper bags over our head.
With eyes
drawn on it.
Drawn on. We couldn't see a thing.
They had to lead us through the airport. Now you couldn't do this.
No.
You'd be in big trouble. But back then they let us. They brought us to the plane. They seated us in the plane.
Oh, and then this is
wait, with bags over your head?
Yes, with bags over our
people
head.
Are walking into the plane, seeing us with these bags.
Now, didn't the police officer and the TSA and all these people weren't
no, there
was
no TSA. This is 1986.
No.
No one else was concerned about this? People watching?
The stewardess and the flight attendants, they were on board with it.
Oh, the captain. Wait. This is so good. I just love this moment. But I want to clarify, because in those days, this group of friends were connected. But not just that, they just went above and beyond, doing these outrageous things for each other. So they made sure that they got the airline involved. And to the point that when we're sitting on the plane and we've got these things on, and we were handed these envelopes, the stewardess comes over and says, "You may open your first envelope, period."
So we take off the bag, we open the envelope. No, we didn't.
No, because the captain had to.
Tell her.
The captain had to announce. So we're taxiing down the runway. We've been given our first envelope, but we have the bags on still. And then they I think that we're in a helicopter, because we got in the plane and we're right at the front. I had no idea.
We walked down an aisle. We just sat down.
I didn't know where we were still. So she brings us some champagne, as I had said. And then the captain starts to announce. And instead of saying, he goes, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard flight blank to blank." And the whole plane erupts in applause. The captain didn't say where we were going, and that wouldn't happen today. So he taxis off, and we're laughing, and the whole plane is laughing. And that's when the stewardess comes over and says, "You can open envelope 1." So we take the thing off, and now we're on our adventure. When we got to where we were going, we were allowed to open our second envelope when the chauffeur-driven limousine was there to meet us on the tarmac at the airport.
Take us
to where we're going,
the hotel.
to the hotel. And then the third envelope when we got to the hotel. And I have these. I saved these envelopes. Of course, I save everything. But this was so interesting because it was his birthday. It was his, and he was old. I mean, in those days, unmarried.
She just threw you under the bus there.
In my 30s, it was salt and pepper then, a lot more pepper.
Oh, but he started to turn gray, senior year in high school. But that's not the point.
The point is
what? I don't even know.
on my birthday.
Oh yeah.
See, Rahla had never really been with anybody like me before. So on my birthday, we're getting ready to go out. And I said, Rahla, quick, come over here, sit down on the bed, quick. What? No, stop, whatever you're doing. Come over here, sit down, hold my hand. She held my hands. I said, look into my eyes. She looked in my eyes. It was
36 years ago at this moment.
At this moment, and I had to calculate for New York, East Coast time. I was being born.
Now, you have to understand, this guy said to me, look into my eyes. 36 years ago at this exact moment, I was being born. Look in my eyes. And I just went, oh my God, I think I just felt love. Like, what was that moment? It was like, whoa, this is like a different experience. Just the willingness to get connected that way. There was nothing, I'd never had that experience before. And what happened then?
Well, I just know the next milestone. I was going to go to the next milestone.
Okay. Well, it was.
Wait. I'm on the plane with you guys.
No, we
got.
got.
We
got the chauffeur. It is convoluted. We got the chauffeur-driven limousine was waiting on the tarmac. We got into it and took us to the destination, which we didn't know till we got there. So it was the plane took us to Scottsdale. We were being sent to some big resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. It was lovely, and all expenses, every meal was paid. It was such a beautiful birthday, and then that moment happened. So that was. Your birthday was it on Thanksgiving that year? No, it was.
No. My birthday is every 7 years. It's in the week of Thanksgiving. So
but you came to my mom's that year. You had Thanksgiving at my mother's house.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks was 2 weeks almost to the day, right? It was December 15th. Well, 3 weeks. I don't know. It was pretty soon.
I knew I was going to ask Rahla to marry me. But
when
Rahla
did you know that? When did you know that
From
you were
the
going to
moment I was conceived, I knew it then. Well, I remember the thought process.
Okay.
I remember the thought
So
process.
tell us the thought process.
The thought
I'm dying to
process,
know too.
you would think it would be, oh my gosh, I love this person so much. I had taken a course with an Orthodox Jewish group called Love, Sex, and Marriage. Now, I had been interested in 2 out of 3 of those things. And one of the things that they had you do was make up a list of qualities. So when we started dating, they were giving the course again. I said, hey, do you want to go to this course, Ra? And she said, okay.
So he takes me, that was like on our second date.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a few week course. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
it was Sex, Love, and Marriage, the Jewish perspective.
The Jewish perspective.
And I said to him, I go, I'm going because I'm actually interested. I'm not one of those girls that if you like a carburetor, I like carburetors, forget about it. That's not who I am. I'm going because I'm genuinely curious.
So one of the things was write up a list of qualities. The qualities I had 19 qualities on my list. And they were wonderful qualities. And as I looked over the list, I saw that Rahla, she only hit 17 out of 19. So my idiot self was saying, I guess you'll have to keep looking. And then another voice inside said, hey, idiot. The next one could only have 1 quality. Are you willing to sacrifice all those other qualities? Because the only qualities that were left were like, blonde and tall and
5'9" and blonde, 5'9" and
Wait, those were the 2 qualities that she didn't make?
Oh,
that one else was
I know.
deep and funny and she's smart
Right,
and she's
and-
talented and she's concerned and she's out there and she's
5'9" athletic. 5'9" and athletic was and then the blonde was so I didn't have those. And so now.
So I knew
Okay.
at that point, I knew. This is the woman I'm going to ask to marry me. So I decide to set it up. I'll invite her to a fabulous romantic dinner at Ivy by the Sea in Santa Monica.
Ivy by the Shore.
Ivy by the Shore. I invite her. Now this is like a little while after the.
Well,
Wednesday.
that was, and
So this
now,
was in December. This is a couple of weeks.
yeah,
later.
and this was
So I
the
said, would
night
you-
of December 14th, soon to be December 15th.
She would remember that.
Of course I remember.
Yes.
So
every moment.
I asked her out and she goes, no. What do you mean no? She said, Richard, listen, we've been going out long enough. It's time for us to move in
I
together.
need
said,
to know what are
don't,
we?
I'm not moving in. The next woman I move in
Mhm.
with will be my wife. She said, oh, okay. Are you going to marry me? I said, well, I can't say that now. I don't know now.
I know, but you said, but and I literally it made me nuts. It's because it was like, wait a minute. If we're not going to live together, I just assumed that my demographic, that's kind of what happened. But he wasn't going to do that because he'd already done it and I had to. And
So
it
she
was
said,
not a good idea.
all right, so you're not going to ask me now to marry. Could you tell me if you're going
Yeah.
to ask me to marry me? I said, if I were to tell you if I were going to ask you to marry me, that would be asking you to marry me. I'm not doing that. I will do it if and when I so decide.
He's stubborn. And that
So
was
I said,
really-
look,
we
let's
went
just-
on and
let's-
on.
Let's just go to dinner. Would you please do that? And she said, no. I said, look, I've already made the reservation. I need somebody to celebrate with. I made up some.
No, you didn't have to make up. You just got hired by Suzanne Summers.
Oh,
With new
that's
show.
that's a pretty big deal.
Here's the deal though, Rob.
Uh-huh.
I need somebody to celebrate with. Will you please come with me?
And then I'll break up with you afterward. Which is
I
what
said, you can break up with me afterwards. Just come out to this one night, please. Just do this. She finally said, okay. So
Oh, don't forget the soul
I
cleansing.
know we had scheduled a soul cleansing for that day. I don't,
Oh,
I
no way.
don't.
Yes.
So we
Oh,
had
God.
this
like a thing.
this washerwoman came in and she cleansed both of our souls and she recorded it so that we would be able to listen to it later.
Mhm.
So we go out to so we have the tapes and we're going to listen to the tapes. We go out to the restaurant. Now, the tables where we were, they were like right on top of each other. And the couple sitting next to us is like this, looking at everything I'm eating. And I didn't feel like asking her to marry me with this guy. Maybe he wouldn't approve. I don't know. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I had to think fast. I've got to figure out a way to find a romantic place to ask her to marry me. So we finish eating and I'm really nervous now. So I figure, we'll drive up the coast. I'm sure we'll pull into one of those parking lots that look out into the ocean. It'll be beautiful. We start driving and I see every parking lot is closed and locked. They don't have them open at night. So I'm thinking, oh shit, where am I going?
Watch your language.
Sorry, where am I going to ask her to marry me? All my places are gone. And I'm driving up the coast. And I figure, oh God, we're going to wind up in San Francisco if I don't figure something out here in LA. Finally, I remembered there was a place up in the Pacific Palisades that looked out over the ocean. So I drove up there and it was empty. I pulled in. We said, let's listen to the soul cleansing. Okay. And I think I'll ask her after the soul cleansing tape. Yeah. We throw on the tape.
Mine first or
right,
yours?
Yours.
No, okay. I can't remember.
And we get to the end of side one and I look over to ask her to marry me. And here's Rahla.
No. No, you can't. Yeah,
Wait, I finally, Rahla, wake up. Oh, what? Rahla, listen.
Do you remember what you said?
I love you very much. Will you marry me and be my wife? And what did you say?
What? What? Say it again.
Rahla,
I
love you very much. Will you marry me and be my wife?
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait, hold on. Just let me feel that one more time.
Rahla, I love you very much. Will you marry me and be my wife?
Okay, again, one more time.
10 times.
Stop it.
Yes.
Until I had a full body experience of my experience while I was experiencing it, because this is a one-time deal, actually. And I wanted, but that was it was so important for me to have like complete consciousness about what that felt like. And I did. And I remember saying to him prior when I was nudging him about, well, are you going? And I said, and by the way, if you ever ask me, I am not going to tell you right away, mister. No, I'm going to take my time. And so he goes, and then number 10, and then he'd heard the whole diatribe before, and he goes, okay, so what's your answer? And I go, yes.
Done.
And it was done.
And it was a done deal.
And then I remember we had a party the next day, and we were engaged. Now we were fiancés.
Yeah.
We were engaged. So that was 3 months after we started dating. Then we got married 6 months after that.
Hold on, just a quick question. Rahla, when did you know that Richard was the one?
Well, that's a really good question, since I actually wasn't even sure what the one was, because I thought the next step was moving in. I wasn't even sure if I even had ever anticipated getting married. It wasn't something that was important to me. I'd been in lots of long-term relationships that were good. They just were with unavailably emotional. What is it? Emotionally unavailable men. Emotionally unavailable. It's like, and I'm calling this was good. Oh yeah, I had these great relationships, except nobody was there for the long haul, even though many of those relationships were protracted over a couple of years each. And so I had to think about it, to be honest. I was nervous at the idea that it was going to be this one human being for the rest of my life. And here's how I made my decision to actually move into that real possibility, is when my mother and my grandmother said, do not screw this up.
Wow.
Do not screw this up. And then they went, he's the perfect, and the whole thing. And it was like, okay, so that's the death knell. If my mother and grandmother are going to nudge me about him, then I'm going to go the opposite way.
Yep.
But I had already reached a point. I mean, I really had, I was in my early 30s, and in those days, it was like, if you were over 30, they used to say you'd be more likely to be kidnapped by a terrorist than ever get married. I mean, that was the comparison. Now, obviously, things have
That's
changed.
terrible. Yeah.
I know, but that's the way it was then. And it just wasn't something that I had thought about. But then I got enrolled. Why? Because his parents, and him being from the East Coast, it was a different, I never even dated a Jewish guy. So there was a lot of,
This is like a whole different thing. Yeah.
it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating world of commitment and integrity and plans and East Coast. And Richard has hundreds and hundreds of cousins. His grandfather was one of 12. These are big things when you do a wedding in his world. And in my world, it just had to be yummy and fantastic. And so we got married at the Riviera Country Club. And my dad had died already. There was a lot of emotional stuff that was at play that Richard just took on. I mean, he knew he was marrying a family of what do they call it?
Strange women.
No, what's a widow? Is it a widow? A widow or a widower?
A
Husband.
widow.
A widow is a wife, and
Right,
yeah.
widowers.
And he was completely enrolled. And then I got excited, because then it was the wedding show at the the convention center, and then it just was a runaway train, and then bridesmaids and plans. And then I thought, I'm going to be a wife. I'm going to try that on like a character in a play. I'm going to play fiance, and let's see what that feels like.
So you've been married many years. What would you say is the secret to the longevity of your marriage?
Laughing our ass off constantly. We say laughter's our aphrodisiac, and our son goes, TMI. But it is. That was super important. Having somebody to laugh with, honestly, to me, was the sexiest thing I could think of.
Yeah.
And I will also say that we like everybody, we go through peaks and valleys, and the valleys are not fun, but we've
also gotten good at saying, I don't like you.
Yes.
Today, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, you should have been around here just a few minutes before
but
we started.
But here's the thing. We do that. That's our process.
But we trust each other, and we know that eventually we will come back in sync, and it's going to be good again.
Yeah.
So it's worth sticking around.
But we also understand how important it is to feel one's feelings, and we believe that there's room in our relationship to have an honest conversation called, I am so not into you tonight. I'm so not happy, or we're, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to have a conversation. I'm not ready to forgive you. Or on the other hand, I am a very fast. He calls what do you say? I get off stuff.
You get off.
I change direction
get
very
off it, yeah.
quickly. I don't hang on to being
Move through it.
upset, but I've got to be authentic. And he gives me that room to be emotionally irrational. And he'll take that ride with me. And we trust each other enough to know that we'll get back to center very quickly.
I have to say, I noticed with you guys early on is that you guys were very open and trusting with each other. Like that you were allowed to go to New York and Richard was totally fine with it and just trusted you and vice versa. I mean, it was something right away for you guys.
And it's interesting that you would say that or mirror that back at us, because we have had more than one heated conversation with dear friends of ours who their partners do not enjoy or allow conversations about others. And that's all we do. We love when we run into the old boyfriend.
Some of our best friends
are still our former lovers.
Former lovers.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy who started the Groundlings, who Rahla had
8 years I was with.
She was with him for 8 years. We were friends. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he used to call me the Jewish Gary Austin because,
same type, tall, but the trusting part. And so we will honestly, I mean, if the person is still alive, they've been to the house, they've had dinner with us, we've gone and gotten together, and we have friends that literally are mortified. And we don't understand why. Like, are you really uncomfortable because she's friends with her ex? And some of them don't even tolerate, it's like not even a negotiable. And we're like, bring it on, because we know we were destined and we do trust each other. It's
jealous
at any level.
Yeah.
Yeah. But almost embracing each other for who that person is right away.
Yeah.
You really did that right away.
Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, because it occurred to me that was so true, because the boyfriend right before, wait, let me think where that boyfriend was, because Michael, I gotta figure. Okay, yeah, right before. The boyfriend the year before. He used to say to me, "You're not gonna wear that, are you? You're gonna wear that? Oh no, you need to, that is way, take that Betsy, he couldn't stand Betsy Johnson. I love Betsy. I know. Exactly.
I can totally see that. Yep.
And then I had always had great fun sunglasses with fruit all over them and this, and I mean, just like this. And he'd say, "You're not wearing those." And he was a producer of a hit TV series, and he was funny, but what a pill, what a pill. And I remember biting my lip one time I drew blood, because I wanted to tell him that I wanted to get out of that car on the freeway so bad, and that we were breaking up, because it started to wear on me. And I remember Helen and I had this conversation, but in those days, everybody was doing various seminars. There was this thing called EST, and there was this other thing, and then there was a making love work, and then there was the actualizations, and then there was this.
I had done them all.
Yeah, he had done them all. I was just playing with some of these, but there was a whole bunch of like information out in the zeitgeist about, what was appropriate and what wasn't, and being authentic. There's nothing better. And I knew that bit lip needed to be broken up with. I had to get out of that relationship. And that's when I realized I would never not be myself. And so when Richard came along and he would say, "What, could you go wear that? Wear those sunglasses with the fruit on it. And could you just wear that Betsy Johnson? I love that so much." And it's been like that.
He really embraces
full
you.
expression, and our house is a full expression. It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse meets a museum meets mid-century modern in the 1940s. And people used to walk in and go, "Does Richard live here?" But now it's definitely a partnership, I think. And Richard, you've gotten very sassy in the way you dress, and he's quite, and deal breaker, dance. Dancing was everything to me. And if I didn't have a guy that was willing to get out there and boogaloo, then bye-bye, we're done. And this guy, not only does he dance, but he is a really good dancer. And we do the swing. I mean, we do like swing and jitterbug, and we do all that fun. That's the kind of stuff that we like to do.
I dance with Rahla. And when we've gone to weddings and things, and there are single women, and they all look and they go, "Oh gosh, I miss dancing. Rahla, he's such a good dancer." Rahla volunteers me to dance with them.
I do.
What doesn't quite work is I am a good dancer with Rahla. We know each other's moves. When I'm dancing with somebody else, I'm stepping on their feet, and the woman is saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's like, no, you don't understand. You're fine. You're fine. I just do it better with Rahla. That's
And
all.
I think that shows how much in sync you guys are.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, we
know?
really are. We are. So I'm curious. I mean, so is this is your podcast about relationships? I'm here and I don't know
Oh, no, no. I'm so glad you guys did this. Thank you so much. This is just so wonderful. So so how this kind of started with me a little bit is, so I'm single. I've been in my relationships and I've done that. But I've just always loved love stories. And my parents have been married for like 36, 37 years. And they have a beautiful, loving relationship. And I just thought all relationships were kind of just like how theirs are. It's just very, like you and, all these couples. And then I started realizing that like my friends' parents were getting divorced and all these things. I'm like, oh, wait, people don't stay together. They're not happy together. And I started learning all these things. And then I hear my friends having like these negative comments about relationships and all this negativity towards relationships, which is the complete opposite of how I feel. So I felt like I wanted to spotlight couples that have beautiful, loving relationships, and that because we don't get to see enough of that. You hear about all these divorce attorneys and divorce and whatever it may be, but not enough of like this cool, really cool spark that has happened. And it's really amazing because the couples that have these beautiful, loving relationships were like, it was just like we were drawn to each other. There was something there.
Yeah,
which
there
is really cool.
there wasn't that part. That actual connection was absolutely effortless in ways that past relationships didn't have that flow or that effortlessness. I love that was why you decided to do this. That is a beautiful thing. And again, so
I'll say one important piece of the puzzle of that formula is you really have to be, I think, you have to want to be married. You have to be, you want to be together with somebody. For me, I was 36 years, or 35, 36 years looking for the one. And I noticed that if I let physical attraction rule the roost, then I would ignore every other red flag, and I could lose 6 months at a time, because you go out with somebody, then you can't just break up after 2 dates. And then when is the right time to break? And before you know it, years have gone by, and it's not right. Okay. One of the things that I learned in a chateau at this Love, Sex, and Marriage was, what you want to do, you really want to date somebody and interview them. You want to engage them to find out who they are.
And the word engagement, we took very seriously. I mean, we literally we sat down and we talked, okay, so we're never going to get divorced. We agreed. We might not like each other, but we're not going to be in that category. We haven't waited this long to find each other to leave when it gets hard. So we agreed right up front. And then I
had invented speed dating.
Yeah.
Because what I did was I figured if you really focus and pay attention, you can find out about somebody. If you're physically attracted, you say, okay, I'm attracted. I'll put that on hold. Now let's find out what their heart and their soul is about. You could probably do that in about 15 minutes. So I would schedule 15-minute coffee dates, and I would do like 3 in an evening. Wow. Made it very easy. And the only promise I made myself was I had to practice what my last thing was I was going to say to the person at the end of the date, because usually what you say, oh, okay, I'll see you around, I'll give you a call. And then
you had integrity. By the way, when you told me the story, you'll finish your story in 1 second. I have to just interrupt, because when you told me the backstory, because he was past the 15-minute date stage when we met, because I said, would I have been like a good 15-minute date? And he said, yeah, you would have won the prize, which I did. But there was not that, but I was fascinated because he made it his business. And this is the part you're going to share, to say something very authentic that wouldn't hurt the other person's feelings. Yeah. That would be genuinely concerned about how his communication would land so that that woman could leave the dynamic feeling whole and complete
That's
and
amazing.
not wounded by the guy on the other end. To me, that was like, oh my God, where have you been all my life?
So, there was a lot of thank you very much. I really appreciate that you took the time to come and meet me. And, so there was one woman in the whole group who called me and said, I found you very interesting and I would like a second date.
Wow.
And that hit one of the categories that I had on my list of categories of 17, which was courage. She had courage and she was okay. But I took a look and I had to do this while she was on the phone. This was really hard because I had to look and say, okay, how do I, am I really interested enough to do a second date? Not that I couldn't have done a second date,
Oh yeah.
but what was my heart of hearts, my soul of soul saying in that moment? And it was saying, so I had to tell her, I said, you know what, that took courage. And
Yeah.
I so admire you for that. But I made a promise to myself. And right now, I can't take a second date now. If that ever changes, I would certainly give you a call, but I can't do that now. But I really, really thank you for calling. And I mean, that was a hard conversation. And at the end of it, I still had nobody. So it was, what did I do? Did I do right? Did I do good? So that
You
was
listen to your gut.
yeah.
Yeah. That's huge.
One of the things that I learned in that whole process of dating was that the universe will test.
Mhm.
Will test you. I had dated Jewish women and non-Jewish women, and I noticed that with non-Jewish women, as much as I adored whoever I was dating, that if I was in a movie and I saw a Jewish name on the crawl who was a gaffer, Jane Feinstein, oh my gosh, she must be wonderful. Something was saying, no. Why are you've got this gorgeous woman next to you. Why are you thinking about somebody? It's a name, So I did some work on it, and what I came to understand was I needed to be with a Jewish woman. I did. That was, for me, it was something important, even though I was willing to rebel against my parents by dating, whatever. So
You thought I was Catholic
I thought she was Catholic.
because I'm Italian.
She has Italian
and
blood,
I
so
come
I
here,
thought
so he assumed I was Catholic.
I'm like, I can be a little dense sometimes. But the thing was, I would have people come up and say, because I would say to people, fix me up, I'm open. Please. And people would come up to me and say, are you still, open to being fixed up on a date? I said, absolutely. Oh, I know somebody. She's gorgeous. That's good. Funny. Oh, funny. She's smart. Oh my God, she's the smartest person. Oh, really? This sounds fabulous. Is the Jewish thing still important to you? Yeah. Never mind. And I was tempted to say, why am I putting myself through this mishigas? If she's a wonderful person, maybe, but I had to say no. I had to say no. And
Confess.
okay.
Confess.
After a very,
We're confessing now.
it had been a particularly long, dry spell, shall we say, where I just missed being around, hanging out with, and I met somebody who I had worked with on a show who I didn't like. I was a writer, she was an actress. We met on an audition, and all of a sudden we kind of clicked a little bit. And she said, come on, let's go out. I said, well, I have this thing. Come on, let's go out. So we went out. We really went out. And
I'm going to be really no, I'm going to do a joke punchline. They went in and out. I couldn't. I got to do stand-up comedy. I've never said that before, ever in my entire life. This is a first. Oh my God. I still have it. Okay, go.
A couple of weeks into that relationship, I meet Rahla and we go out. And now it's like, okay, non-Jew, Jew. I don't know what's going to happen with the Jew. I'm having fun over here. Normally what I would do, my usual stance would be, live in confusion. It's much easier that way. Oh no, what do I do? I don't know. I like, and then they both blow up,
Yeah.
and I'd wind up at the same place with nothing. But I once again, that little universal finger tapping me on the shoulder saying, okay, big fella, you said what you wanted was somebody who is Jewish. This one is Jewish.
Yeah.
Now, what do
Who
you,
never dated a Jew ever? I never went out with Jewish guys ever. So
it
that
was, it
interesting.
was put up or shut up. So I had to say to the other one, I'm sorry that I have to follow this thing. I don't know where it's going to go, but I've got to do this. I have to respect it. And it
She
worked
was
out.
not happy.
She was, oh man, was she not?
And I knew her. I mean, I knew her. We had
Oh.
crossed paths, and she was
No names.
no names. No, but the point is, her feelings were hurt.
I'm
And,
sure.
you know, And so, like, I hurt Michael's feelings. He had to hurt this person's feelings. And neither of us like that ever.
I mean,
because
you pretty much started The Bachelor before The Bachelor started. I mean,
you bet. Oh God, and this whole speed dating thing that people do. It's like Richard was doing that, like, yeah, like
In the
years ago.
Power of Play, our business, we created a program. We haven't done it yet. Well, and now for the last year, we couldn't do it yet. But we created a program called Speed Bump Dating.
Speed bump dating.
Because when you hit a speed bump, you have to slow down. It isn't about going through as many people as you can. You want to find people that you have some kind of connection to. And we have games
Oh, we
and
have so many
experiences
processes
that are so much fun.
Yeah.
Where people can spend just a few minutes and get to know one another. And then you see where it goes.
So
I always say, like, I shouldn't know what you do as work or something like that until like the third date in. Like, I want to
agree
know,
with you.
I want to know you. I want to know, like, can you make me laugh? Can we do other things? Like, don't tell me what your job is.
And by the way, I think that's really important, especially in this day and age. I think that it's imperative because we're not our jobs. It's not, our job isn't necessarily who we are. It's what we do. And our values and our essence is what's important. And, you know, if you're going to be with somebody, you want to get to know that part of them.
Mhm.
It's nice if they're solvent and they're, you know, can make some dough, but I really would prefer to know what your soul is. I want to know who your soul
Because
is.
it doesn't so much matter. What matters are the values that you're applying to whatever. If you're an accountant, but you care about people, then it's the care about people that's important, not that you're an accountant.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to, where people get to connect at that deeper level.
I forgot. I realized that the street scene was actually the following day when we went, and I called that our first date. Wasn't our first date at Good Earth Restaurant?
Yes.
Was that what really? It just occurred to me
We
that
did. Yes,
because
we
that
did have
was
a first
very
date.
telling.
Yeah, very
that
telling.
night.
This is a good story, which you'll like.
Time? I don't know.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Go.
So I invited Rahla out to dinner.
Okay, let's see if we can pick up. Let's do some editing.
I dialed her number. 310. Okay, I invited her out to dinner, and
Well,
I was vegetarian,
And I was
and
vegetarian.
She was. So when I said, let's go to the Good Earth, and
Which
she
is
was like,
near my house in
a
Westwood.
vegetarian. Oh my gosh, this is so fantastic.
And Jewish.
And
Oh
Jewish.
my God.
Boy, this guy's got so much going for him. So we get to the restaurant and we sit down, and Rahla says, I didn't know this was a test question. She said, would it be if you got something that looked interesting to me, would you mind if I had a bite?
Yeah.
I said, sure, go ahead, fine. Because that last guy,
And a few others. Never. No, I'll order your own plate. You won't let me take a bite. It's like, it used to make me crazy. I knew that it would be a
you
short
want
range.
that, order that. No, I want mine, but I'd
I
like
want
a
to
bite of
taste
yours.
yours. And he was like this, of course, sure, no problem. So his
So,
food comes.
we order,
Mhm.
and
It looks
Rahla,
delicious.
and now I haven't taken a bite. The food is there, just arrived. And Rahla says, ooh, could I take a bite? I said, sure, go ahead. She puts her fork into the plate. She takes out a scoop. It's up to her mouth like this. And this is what she sees, looking at me.
I go, what?
She said, what's the
What's
problem?
going on?
And I went, okay, you found me out. when I order a meal,
You
I
the
like survey it, and I like to save the best for last.
Oh, so-
It is, yep.
The burntest, crispiest part is the best part. That's the part I was saving for my last bite.
so I
So,
learned that about
She
you.
offered it
Yeah.
back. I said, no, 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 it's yours. You took it, it's yours. You may have it now. When people hear that, first of all, they start to laugh. They say, oh, how crazy and eccentric Richard
How
is.
do I get this?
Yeah.
This is a real thing.
And so our friends, I remember with these friends of ours, they were like second parents to me. And we were out to dinner with them, and our friends are saying, Sheila's saying to Richard, oh, that's so crazy.
And
As-
they're looking
yeah.
at my plate and saying, I bet I know what's the last bite on that plate. Yeah, go ahead. They're all giving it to me. But
So as they're, judging us with humor, literally our friend is making that thing from Close Encounters of the Third Kind with the mountain out of her mashed potatoes. And she's got
putting
gravy
peas in
and
it.
peas, and it's like a creation. And we're like,
Which tells me everybody has their eccentricities.
About
Everybody
food,
has their
everybody.
Michigas, and it's fun.
it's fine. So that was that. But now, and it hasn't changed in over 33 years, almost 34. Well, if you count our dating, we've been together 35, but 33 years, our 34th anniversary is May 31st.
Gosh.
Yeah, you bet, it's coming up. But what was really interesting is that here's this guy who, the thing about the food, and I will say to him to this day, I want to taste, but honey, tell me what your last bite is so I won't take it.
That is so nice that she does.
Well, I mean, I've gotten the message early on.
You
So
can have a bite, you just can't have the last bite.
you just can't have the last
The
bite.
last first bite.
And but it really is funny to look at an entire plate and know that there's a last bite, because most
Yeah.
people just eat, I think.
You're
No,
my
I'm with you. I plan out my food, which one's going to be my last
do.
bite too, because the last bite is like how you want to be left with the feeling in your mouth, the flavor, the texture,
That's right. That's
This
right.
girl
By the
knows.
way,
this girl knows.
Rahla is a mixer and a smusher. I like separation. Now you don't. Whoa! Why don't you put those two together? No, that would be together. I want the potatoes over there. The peas are over there. That's how I want them.
Yeah, you learn these things. If this is the boundaries that we need to set up to make our relationship work, so be it.
I think you can do it, and you guys have done it. Thank you
It
guys.
was
so
lovely
much.
meeting you.